as we have analyzed the proposed GIPSA rule on competition, we have numerous concerns. The biggest concern is the change in removing competitive injury as a measurement in allowing suits to be brought forward under the Packers and Stockyards Act. Right now, you have to show that there was actually harm to your business to be able to sue. It's been upheld by 8 different U.S. Circuit Courts of Appeal. This rule, however, the proposed rule, removes that and replaces it with nothing more than just a measure of fairness. And fairness is not defined. It has broad meanings. I doubt that any one person is going to have the exact same definition of what fairness is depending on the situation. So when you have something that broad and that subjective, what you do is you open this up to a bonanza for trial lawyers. They're going to be coming in and suing everybody they can because all they have to do is show fairness. So we're afraid that with that kind of liability, the liability of getting sued on nothing more than claiming it's unfair, that Packers will scale back on their offering to pay more and pay incentives for quality differences. We're afraid it's going to impact alternative marketing arrangements, contracting opportunities, everything that this industry has spent 30 years putting in place to allow producers who invest in the genetics and the production methods to get paid for that value that they're adding back to the animals. This could all go away just because of liability concerns. Now we want to make it very clear that the rule itself does not say directly that you can't contract. And a lot of people are using that as a red herring to pull us off of this issue. But the fact of the matter is these liability concerns will result in marketing arrangements either being reduced or completely going away. As we further look at this, we have other concerns. Another big concern is the fact that the Obama administration, here with the Grain Inspection Packers and Stockyards Administration, went far beyond the intent of Congress. As we debated the 2008 Farm Bill, this language had very specific direction on where it should go, specifically looking at the poultry industry. But what we have found is we analyze this rule, we are seeing pieces of language that were a part of numerous amendments, both in the House and Senate, that we defeated during the Farm Bill debate. And that's pretty concerning when we have our elected officials who debated this issue, made a decision, defeated it, and now we see it being resurrected and recycled in a rule that it was never meant to include. And that's really concerning that we're seeing an administrative end-run on our legislative and congressional process. Finally, we have some significant concerns about the privacy of the information, especially in regards to producers' business information. Part of this rule, all these contracts are going to have to be submitted for review by GIPSA and then to be posted on a public website. Now, it shows in the rule that there is some protection for proprietary information and personal information, but when you look at the details, that only applies to the packers. So we're concerned that the private information of the individual producer will be out there for the world and everybody to see. And even on the packer information, if they were to take the producer personal information off, all it would take is a simple Freedom of Information Act, a FOIA request, to go in and dig that up. And having producers' personal information is going to be detrimental to them and is a potential liability because it's opening it up to folks who want to do harm to this industry. There are a lot of people out there that don't like production agriculture these days, and to have the ability to find producers and track them down is a dangerous precedent. So the overall issue of privacy of producer information is another significant concern here, and one that we don't think has been fully considered or vetted by USDA.
Do a quick summary of the hearing. They might want that information, then we'll end it. All right.
The House Subcommittee on Livestock, Dairy, and Poultry had a hearing to talk about this. Now, the hearing was initially billed as an oversight hearing of provisions in the 2008 Farm Bill. So Undersecretary of Agriculture for Marketing and Regulatory Programs, Ed Avalos, was the witness. He was accompanied by the GIPSA Administrator, Dudley Butler, by the Ag Marketing Service Administrator, Rain Pegg, and also by the APHIS Administrator, Cindy Smith. But we saw in the hearing that 98% of the focus was on Administrator Butler and specifically on this proposed GIPSA rule. The members of Congress were extremely unhappy, and this was both sides, both Democrat and Republican. They had some concerns that there had not been enough effort by GIPSA to bring in producer groups and individual producers to talk about how this would affect their business. There was some concerns that the comment period was not long enough, that only 60 days to comment on what the Secretary has declared one of the most sweeping reforms to the Packers and Stockyards Act since it was passed. That's just not enough. We need much more time to do a thorough legal and economic analysis, to educate producers and let folks know what this really does, because you can't take this at face value. If you do, you're doomed from the get-go, because we know that a lot of things coming out of Congress and this administration always had unintended consequences. So you have to identify what those are and make sure that you make them public, and that's a lot of what Congress did in their subcommittee hearing yesterday.